Yeah, you made it lock in. Court lights flicker, I'm feeling that tip-off fever. NBA dreams spin tight like a crossover sleeper. Fourth and inches in the cold, crowd breathing like smoke. NFL grit in my voice when the pressure get woke. Engine scream through the night, that F1 razor. Lines cut clean, turn sharp like a hometown savior. NASCAR drift in my blood when the pace gets wild. I talk speed like a veteran, move calm like a smile. Legends born out of sweat, out of heartbreaks echo. I break plays down smooth, call the game like a maestro. Every lane that we touch, every story we show, this is where the truth runs. The NotBland Show. Fast, race, whole crowd froze. Big drives, deep shots, watch the moment explode. Every angle hit heavy with a champion's glow. Step into the kingdom, the NotBland Show.
Lock in.
You made it, ladies and gentlemen, and let's lock in to the NotBland Show. Man, you guys got two shows this week. A bonus one on Monday. Make sure you go check that out. We had Melanie Johnson on. She talked about her new sponsor, Speedmaster. It's a great interview. Go check that out. After this show, because we have one of the greats, I believe, on this show. One of the great motorsports journalists out there. Not afraid to ask the hard questions, and puts out really good stuff. Kelly Crandall will be on here today, and I'm excited, man. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to talk a little NASCAR. We're going to talk a little NHRA, and you guys will get to know her a little bit, and I'm excited about that. So you guys already know the routine, right? You got to share this show. You got to make sure you like this show, and you got to make sure you're telling a friend to tell a friend of what we're doing here right now, and let them get locked into what we're doing here at the NotBland Show. Thank everybody who supports us, our affiliate, VTR and Sports. They're powered by ESPN Radio. They're in Lynchburg, Virginia. We appreciate you. And that's where you guys can find the audio version and the articles that we produce at sportsjourney.com. Of course, we can't go anywhere without thanking our sponsor, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. You guys know the deal. It is the Pro Stock Bracket Week. You have until April 10th to fill out your bracket, and we'll see where the chips fall and what is the best moment of pro stock. So make sure you're doing that. If you haven't done that and you haven't gotten yourself involved with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, well, we take this break, you'll find out exactly how to do that. And when we come back, we'll have Kelly Crandall.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
Well, Kelly, thank you for taking the time to come on the show. How are you doing tonight?
I am great. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah, me too. How did you get started in motorsports journalism? You know, it's not really one of these things where there's a playbook for it. So how did you get started in this business?
No, the playbook I followed was watching people on social media, Twitter, X now as it is, and wanting to do that. No, so it honestly goes back to high school. I was already obsessed with racing at that point, and by the time that I got to high school, I had some great English teachers. I enjoyed writing, and it truly was just a light bulb moment one day of, you know what, I think I can combine these two things. I think I can combine the two things that I like doing the most. So that's the gist of it right there, is thankfully light bulb moment. And then I've been pretty tunnel vision ever since then. Yeah.
It's kind of the same. I had a passion, really for football. I didn't think I'd really be in this space. Really, my roots are in NFL stuff, and got a tweet from Scott Smith and said, "Come out to the Gator Nationals," and I've been doing this thing ever since. So I kind of like it being I guess I'm more than a dual threat, but I really enjoy marrying the two together because to me, there's so much about football that kind of coincides with racing. And that's just how my head works anyway. But
I respect
yeah,
it. I respect it.
yeah. Uh, this has been for NASCAR has been a really, really interesting season. Of course, Tyler Reddick has already got 4 wins early in this season. What has been the kind of surprise moment for you early in this season?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if there's anything that's been surprising. I mean, maybe surprising in a good way is the hot start for 2311, just because you look at 2025 when they had, as I like to call it, a down year, right? They only had the
Yes.
one win with Bubba. They were still okay, right? I think a lot of teams, a lot of drivers would have loved to have had the seasons that Tyler and Bubba had when you're top 10 in points for the most of it. You make the postseason. But there was a lot of wins and other performances that slipped through their fingers. They just didn't execute last year as a company. They just, they had a lot of things to clean up, and they had some weaknesses that they certainly had to work on. So I guess I would say that I'm surprised of how quickly that can turn around, right? You come out this year, for them to sit 1-2 in points for many of the first part of the season, 4 wins from Tyler, becoming the first driver to win 3 in a row. I mean, that I don't think any of us were expecting that on our bingo card. So, I would look at something like that, but I don't know. I don't know if there's anything, bad or negative that stands out. I guess I'm a little surprised that it's kind of all been positive so far, right? I mean, there's still some things to work on with the race car, but we've had what I feel like has been like a very positive narrative start to this season, and that's not normally the case.
That's true. That is true. It can be a bunch of bickering, finger pointing, and a little bit of fighting on track, but it has been pretty positive. I find it to be very interesting that Denny Hamlin had the season that he had last year. Everybody thought he probably should have won the championship, and he comes out and he's still hot. I mean, he's third in the points right now. Is this the year that there's competition though, but is this the year that you think he can finally seal the deal and get that championship?
Oh, you're falling down that trap, aren't you? Or I feel like every year that could be the question. Come on now. You got to
True.
rephrase it. You got to dig a little deeper than that. First off, let me change my answer from the previous question, and I would say that Denny Hamlin's start to the season is what surprises me. So to tie it into your question, right? Because this could be, and there's a long way to go. There's
Right.
still a lot of racing to go, but this season for Hamlin could have gone one of 2 ways, right? I mean, after everything that happened last year, you could say that you expected him to come into this year with a championship hangover. He's dealing with the loss of his father. The lawsuit finally wraps up, but that was a long, expensive, tiring ordeal for everybody. He's injured again, right? Like he's dealing with another shoulder injury. So this season could have gone one of 2 ways, right? It could go to the extreme one way to where he's going to back up. He and the 11 team are going to back up what they did last year and again contend for a championship. Maybe they'll win it, or it could have gone in the extreme other direction of just completely off the rails and terrible because his head's not in it, which nobody would blame him for.
Right.
Or again, the team just comes off of such an emotional toll of losing the championship last year. But so far, it looks like they have not missed a beat. So listen, to your question, is this the year? I mean, people have been asking that question for the last 5, 10, 15 years, right? Is this the year? Is this finally going to be the year? I am intrigued to see what he can do in this chase format, because in previous chase formats, he's been pretty solid. He was pretty solid in the winner take all type of format, except for winning the championship. So it will be interesting, and I'm intrigued to see his experience and with how good his race team is, and knowing the importance of point stays and everything else, of how they attack the chase when they get to it. And could this finally be the year? I'm not going to answer that question though, because again, that's something that I've gotten caught up in, like everybody else, trying to say this is the year, this is going to be the year, this is going to be the year. Listen, I've got tons of tweets out there from previous years of when if he's going to win the championship, it's going to be this year. If he's going to win the championship, it's going to be with Chief. If he's, and I've been proven wrong, as have a lot of people. So I don't know if this is the year, but I will say I think he's going to have just as good a shot as any when we get to the chase.
Which driver in this Cup Series that top 10, outside the top 10, that you would have expected to have a win already? Mine is Kyle Larson. I thought, that he would have had an opportunity at least to win a race here. He's not in a bad spot. I mean, he's in ninth, but I thought he would already have a win by now. Just who he is, the driver he is, and who he drives for. But who would be yours?
Yeah, that's a good answer. I mean, I think that's an obvious one, right? I mean, Reddick's got to win, Blaney's got to win, which is, it's pretty early in the season for him to have a win already. Right. Denny's won. I think overall you probably could have just said a Hendrick driver, but Chase got to victory lane, a week ago in Martinsville. So, right. I don't think there's anybody other than Larson at this point, when you look at who typically wins early in a season, that I would have circled. Now, going by how they've performed already this year and have had some slip through their fingers, Ty Gibbs, I think it's more realistic than ever that he's going to win a race. Yeah. And Brad Keselowski. I mean, you look at what he did at Darlington a couple weeks ago. To go there at the time, when I did the math on race day, it was, I believe, 3 months and 18 days after breaking his femur and needing to have surgery. And he goes to what drivers say is the toughest racetrack on the circuit and sweeps the stages and leads 6 different times for 142 laps and nearly wins that race. So I'm actually surprised he doesn't have a win, because it's a night and day difference from how that 6 team started the 2025 season. So I think those two would come to mind for me right off the bat. I mean, again, Larson normally wins pretty early in the season. I mean, it's almost been a year since his last win, and he had 3 wins last year, which is, hard to believe. So other than that, I think the drivers who typically win this early in the season have already done so. So it's looking like more of the same.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying it, though. The action seems to be just it feels different this year. I don't know why, but I think it feels different in all of them. I mean, you look at the O'Reilly series. I think Justin has a win. I believe it's Austin Hill. I think he had a win. I'm waiting for Raja Caruth to get a win. Like, this dude is driving his tail off, and it seems like when it gets down to the end, it all just seems to kind of fall apart at the wrong time.
Yeah, I think Raja is a good case of, and not to single him out, but you mentioned him, right? And he's not the only one. It's a case of, when you're a young driver and you get in these positions, you have to learn how to close these races out. And some of it is not his doing, right? I mean, sometimes you don't make it that far, right? But I think it's an interesting case of, he is doing so many things very well right now. He's driving his tail off. He's got a ton of talent. But again, these younger drivers, you put them in these situations to where it gets to the end of these races. If you're not used to being in that situation, sometimes it's going to take a few turns up there before you figure out how to close the deal. Whereas Justin Allgaier, I mean, he's an old pro at this point, right? I mean, he just does what he does and clicks the laps off and knows how to be there at the end and position himself well. Now, it's interesting what you were just saying about this year feels different. I think that's twofold. I think it's because the playoffs are gone.
Yeah.
Right? Now, there were people who liked the playoffs. There were drivers who liked the playoffs. But I feel like by and large, that was such a negative topic of conversation.
Yes.
So the playoffs are gone. The lawsuit is now settled. And I wrote coming into the year that I would be really interested to see if that meant that the narrative in the garage and just around the sport changed. Now, social media is going to be social media. They're always going to find something to be negative about. But even on social, I feel like there's been a little bit of a switch there too. Like I feel like, as you're saying, like it feels different. So far, it does feel a little more positive. It feels a little more focused on the racing. We're not talking about the postseason. We're not talking about the championship format. We're not talking about the lawsuit. You know, for now at least, the team owners aren't slinging mud about the business model of the sport, right? You know, so it feels like, going back to what I wrote coming into the year, that just the narrative has changed a little bit. There are still things that can be fixed or worked on or be different, but I'm telling you, it's a heck of a lot different, and it feels different, and the narrative is different when the garage is on board with what's going on in the sport, because they have the biggest microphones. The drivers have the biggest microphones. If the drivers and the team owners are on board and are happy, then everything is calm, and we can just focus on the racing. And again, I keep saying, you know, that word narrative. It feels like that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, and I in all three, including the trucks, I'm not. I'll be the first to say that this is probably the first year that I've watched more races already this year than I have in probably 10 years. But like, it seems like every category, it is a kind of up for grabs deal. Like, there are guys that are doing well, but it doesn't feel like, okay, I can look at this particular team and they're going to be the ones that are going to be there at the end to get the championship. This thing seems to be wide open, and I think it's playing out that way too.
I agree. I think because, again, you know, people are adjusting to what's going on, right? Like drivers, you know, some drivers say it's no different than before because, you know, points are points and we've always raced for points. But there's other drivers who are taking this a little more seriously. Maybe seriously is not the right word, but they're a little more aware and conscious of the format because they feel like it's going to be different. And it feels like they're going to have to race different, or the racing is different, or how much more is points going to matter.
Right.
Where do you need to be seated when the chase starts to have a realistic shot at the championship? So I think it is different in that regard, because there's some drivers who have never raced under the chase format.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And there's some who have. I'm actually, because I saw that comment that was on the screen a minute ago. I have the list. I know I have the list somewhere, and I'm trying to pull it up because I had put the full list together of the Cup drivers and Cup crew chiefs who have raced under the chase, and it's not a long list, but I know I had it somewhere. So I don't.
If anybody has it, you have it.
I do. I just don't know where it is, and that's what I'm trying to find. So that's.
Who's the guy that we should be watching in the truck series? I find the trucks to be very fascinating. I like that all the manufacturers are represented, but who's the guy that you're watching there and that fans should probably be watching out for here this year?
Well, Lane Riggs was my preseason pick to win the championship over there, because I felt like with Corey Heim out of the picture that Lane could be the next guy to step up. And again, we have a lot of racing left to do. So I do think that team will be strong as the season continues. He's got his win already under his belt from St. Petersburg. I expect them to win a lot more. And then you can look at the guy who took over the 11 truck from Corey Heim, right? I think Caden Honeycutt has done a fantastic job already rising to the occasion and rising to getting that opportunity. There's going to be multiple wins, I feel like, in his future. That team is just so solid. Caden is showing that he was deserving of the opportunity. He can get the job done. Listen, I tweeted it the other day. I lost my mind on that last lap at Rockingham on Friday because I think he should have won that race. And I'm still confused on why the 15 did what he did and where he was, messing with his teammates. So I think it's a matter of time though before Caden bursts through. But there's a lot of talent in that series.
Yes.
Those two are the ones though that come to mind for sure. And listen, I mean, Corey is still over there winning races and is still, entering all these races. So he's going to have his fair share too. But the difference is he's not eligible for the championship. So he's still going to be in the conversation though.
Yeah. And I even the guy that was on the TV show that won the seat in the ride is even doing well.
Mini Tyrell for a colleague. Yeah, listen, they've I don't know why I'm saying listen so much tonight. But as an interviewer and as an interviewee, I'm aware that I'm doing it. Colleague they've got some work still to do over there because you're putting 5 trucks on the racetrack, right? So on one hand, I say this all the time. On one hand, it's great because you have 5 trucks, which means you've got a ton of information and notes that are going into your notebook. But on the other hand, 5 trucks is a lot of trucks to put on the track when you're trying to build this program and get an OEM back into the sport and get to where they need to be. And College Racing has never fielded trucks before. So you have an OEM who's coming back in trying to relearn as well as learn the new stuff from how different the sport is when they were last here. And you have College Racing who doesn't have a simulator, right? I mean, there's no they don't have a sim for what they're doing. It's just their 5 trucks that they're learning from. You can't test. So you're learning literally on the fly every Friday and Saturday in these races. And as I said, it's an organization that hasn't fielded trucks before. So they're going through the paces of all that. I think they've done an incredibly decent job to start the season.
Yeah.
Justin Haley, I don't know where the points are now. I haven't looked since Rockingham, but going into Rockingham,
he's 10th.
All right, so Justin's still 10th, and you had Butterbean, who was 11th going into Rockingham. I don't know. Okay, so he's still there. So I think they're doing a decent job for coming out of the box like this. But there's still work to be done because the biggest glaring blemish to me is they're not leading laps, which means
that's right.
Which means you're not running up front. So they need to, step up to that next level of being able to run in the top 10, the top 5, and then when you do that, you're going to lead laps and contend for wins.
Right. Yeah, that's important. Very important. We'll move over to the NHRA, and they're in Pomona, and it seems like lightning is going to strike twice. There's no way this thing can get washed out 2 times in a row. But it has been quite the interesting season for NHRA. You've got some up-and-coming names. Of course, everybody is talking about Maddie Gordon that didn't know Maddie before, she got in a top fuel ride. What has been your story that's really kind of caught your eye with the NHRA?
Well, let's start with Maddie, right? Because I think to your point, for some who weren't aware or had no idea about her at all, she kind of burst onto the scene, right? Going to Gainesville. And I was in Gainesville, you were too, right? I thought it was so interesting how, as the weekend played out, that every time she was on track or that time where she came down the return road, it seemed like as the weekend went on, more and more the fan attention was shifting towards her. It was almost like, oh, okay, we're starting to pay attention, right? Like, all right, on Friday, here is the new driver. Here's the new girl. Let's see what she can do. Oh, okay, she can drive, right? And then we go into Saturday and, oh, okay, yeah, she's getting down the track. All right, that's awesome. And then by Sunday, it was like, all right, we're paying attention, right? The media's paying attention, more of the grandstand's paying attention. So I think she has burst on the scene, and it's been an excellent story for NHRA. They clearly are capitalizing on it because every time I go online, it seems like her and Ron are doing some form of media somewhere, which is excellent. It's excellent for that race team, but it's excellent that NHRA has recognized what they have right now and they're capitalizing on it. So I think you start with that, right? I mean, and then you go to obviously what Josh Hart did to come out, started the season. Coletta Motorsports looks just as good as ever. So I'm interested to see, is this going to be the year of Sean, right? Like, I love Doug, but Doug's clearly got himself. He's got his championships now, plural.
Right.
And Sean get back to the top of the mountain. Funny car, right? I mean, Jordan is Vandergrift's proven that he can drive a funny car, right? I mean,
yeah.
So I mean, I can go on and on down the list, but I think for me right now, Maddie probably stands above all.
Yeah, I agree. She's definitely the front runner, and I would encourage other drivers. That's what we need. The Mr. Roboto, Tiger Woods, I played good, I am good, I like my chances isn't going to work anymore. Like, if you want fans to lock into what you're doing and you want them to care and be like, like it was in the old days, you're exchanging money in the stands. People are betting because their driver's up and they believe that he's going to win or she's going to win. You got to be more personable. And sponsors will be plugged, but you got to be more personable and be able to give people and engage with the crowd, kind of like Cletus McFarland does, engages with the crowd.
Yeah, I mean that's the age-old conversation, right? I mean, it happens in all sports, and it's a double-edged sword because you have drivers or athletes that show great personality, and fans sometimes think that they're too outlandish or they're too bold or they're too this, that, or whatever. And then you have the ones who are more reserved because maybe it's just A, their personality, but B, they're playing the sponsorship and the corporate game really well. So they get criticized for that, right? It's just, as I said, it's the age-old conversation of, I don't know if there's a perfect mold, right? I mean, you mentioned Cletus. Here's the thing though, with Cletus is you use him as an example of this is what drivers should be. But every time I open social or I look at, wherever or satellite radio, there's criticisms too, right?
Yeah,
so it's not, I don't know if there's ever a perfect mold. I mean, Jimmy Johnson, right? Going back to stock cars. I mean, for me, I would say Jimmy was the perfect mold. I mean, he was talented. I thought he had a great personality, had a great sense of humor, but the fans would tell you he was vanilla and they didn't like him winning all the time. So
everybody hates a winner.
There's no perfect mold.
Yeah.
For a personality of an athlete or a driver. Now, what I would argue though, is that as long as you're authentic, right? Because that's the one thing everybody can see through is if you're trying to play it to one side or the other, if it's not authentic, people are going to see through that. So, I appreciate drivers and athletes who are genuinely themselves, right? Like that's why I love Antron, because that is genuinely who Antron is. And some people find it over the top. Other people are like, that's perfect. That's awesome. But it's genuinely Antron.
That is who he is.
He can go from having fun with you in one breath to giving you a great answer and actually answering your question in the next. And that's all that matters, right? It's people who are respectful, they're genuinely themselves, but they also understand you have a job to do and what you're here for.
Right. The Kool-Aid talk was fantastic.
That was awesome.
It was fantastic. You're not surprised by the slow start with Austin Prock and team, are you?
Yes and no, to be honest with you. I guess yes, just because, somebody of Austin's caliber and the caliber of that race team, in the sense of, even though they're all wearing new shirts and working for a new race team, I mean, that's the same one that was kicking everybody's tail at JFR, right? I mean, they followed the Prock family, but also because that car was no slouch with Bob behind the wheel either. Yeah. So yes and no. The no comes in because there's growing pains everywhere. Even though it's from what we understand, it's kind of the same core group of people. There's growing pains of working with a new manufacturer, sitting in a new race car, and just getting up to speed with all that comes with that. All that comes with working in a new shop, right? It sounds silly, but I think, again, what you and I know about racing is there's always these 10 little things, right, that it all adds up. It's not as simple as just changing the fire suit and lowering a new body on the race car. So I would say yes and no to that. And I was really surprised they didn't make Gainesville. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either.
Yeah, I thought they would stub their toe a little bit, but that was really surprising.
Yeah, given the conditions, being hot, I figured they could pull out some type of a 4 or something to get it in the show. And I always liken it to the fact that it's the same thing here in NHRA as it is when you're talking about a coordinator or a coach in football. just like AJ has his parts, his combination of what he likes to be able to get the job done. I thought it would be a quarter before they got ready and be able to kind of, you would see progress, but before they really started rolling, it would take the first quarter of the season for them to do that, because I don't think they have all the parts in house. So the playbook is not 100% there. So he's trying to piece things together as parts come in, and parts right now are hard to come by, especially when you're trying to transform an entire program. So I figured that it would be some type of growing pains, at least for the first quarter of the season. And I think they'll start to get the ball rolling after the fact. But yes, Gainesville was a surprise, because I'm like, you can at least pull out a 4-0 something to get it in the show. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think that goes back to what you said, though, the conditions, right? I mean, because we even went into Saturday or late Saturday at Gainesville, and Greg wasn't qualified either in postdoc, right? So it's not uncommon. I didn't expect it to be that first weekend of just not even being in the show. I expected, first weekend, first 2 weekends, okay, maybe we're trying to find our footing, but to be that far behind was really surprising.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what to say about Pomona, because we're really kind of like, I don't even know, are we going to even have this thing or what? I hope so, because I think Matt Hagan is on a roll right now. You've got the Force cars that are on a roll and really have a lot of good momentum going. Antron Brown, of course, has some momentum. You look at Pro Stock, and it seems like Elite has kind of caught up a little bit, but KB is still the front runner, and Dallas just is coming off a win. Can Greg get a win? Are we going to get back to this trading wins deal? You got a Matt. Why does his name slip my mind now?
Hartford.
Yeah, Matt Hartford. He's out there, pushing people around as well. I'm really hoping this event gets off, because there's just so much good going on and a good momentum coming in to this race, to where, again, this is another roll the dice and see who comes up at the end in the finals type of deal.
I agree with you. And that's a great racetrack. It's a great area. It's a great race. So I saw someone else already posted the forecast for this weekend, and I was like, oh no, don't do that. Don't do that to my NHRA friends. They can't handle that. So hopefully it gets off. I'll be watching from afar from Bristol, but like I said, I hope it gets off, because it's a great racetrack, and it's always been a great event, whether it's the spring or the winter or the finale. So I think everything you just said is absolutely accurate, right? Like, NHRA has had a great start to the season. I mean, we touched on some of the drivers and some of the headlines, right? But it seems like the first 2 events on that side as well have had some really positive momentum and conversation around it. So, it would suck to go into the next race weekend and get, weather to bring you back down to earth already.
Yeah, it really would. 2 things before we let you get out of here. You'll be in Bristol. This is a race that it's all about, strategy and kind of staying out of the fray, because, there are going to be some pileups here. Who do you like going into this with in the different series coming into this race, with this being a very, very short track, but it's one of my favorite.
Well, it sounds like tires are again going to be the variable, right? The tires and the weather. What is that line in the sand between, where the weather is and track conditions of when that tire wear comes into play? Goodyear, it sounds like, if I read my notes right earlier today, is bringing yet a different tire to this race, because they're trying to just hit on it, right? Find that sweet spot. So if that's the case, and when you look at a place like Bristol, how much it's evolved over the years, the racing here, the groove, just how the track has changed, it seems like it's lending itself more and more to the veterans. So you mentioned Larson earlier, and surprised that he doesn't have a win, right? It could very well come this weekend, and he dominated this race a year ago.
Yeah.
We talked about Denny Hamlin, right? I think any of the Hendrick guys, Keselowski. So, again, the theme is veterans. And if it comes down to tires, the veterans who are used to previously having to manage tires in this series, when we had tire wear before we got away from that for the longest time, but now it's back. Again, I think it lends itself to the veterans. So I would look at them. I mean, Friday in the truck race, You go to the opposite end of the spectrum, it's going to be the young guys, right? It's going to be Corey Heim. I think it's going to be Lane Riggs, Chandler Smith. The front row guys have won the last couple races there. And I would look at Caden Honeycutt again, right? It's kind of more of the same in that series. You get the same players over and over.
Right.
Saturday night for O'Reilly, speaking of same things over and over, I mean, how do you not start and look at Allgaier to begin with, right? But William Sawalich now coming off getting his first win, how much does momentum carry him around, right?
That's true.
But any of the JRM guys, they are really, really strong there. Then you look at the Haas guys like Creed and Sam Mayer. The list goes on and on. But I think the theme of the weekend, when you look at Bristol, is going to be more of the same. That track just it is so specific when it comes to what it takes there that you see the same players over and over and over again. And I think we're going to see that in all three series.
I like it. Fan question before I get to my last one. What are your thoughts on the IHRA?
It's a great soap opera, and I'm glad that I just have to watch it from afar.
That's good. I like that. You do watch WWE. We are coming into WrestleMania season. Are you just as annoyed and disappointed as I am with this lead up and what they have done, the lack of effort here? We've got people like, now we got another celebrity match with I Show Speed. Why? Hey, if you're giving out matches, I'll take one.
All right, I might disappoint you here with this answer. So I stopped watching when they brought Lesnar back at SummerSlam. So that was
I don't blame you.
So that was what? August, July?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So from that night, my husband can attest because he was with me in the living room and he could tell you what my reaction was. They brought him back. I turned the TV off and I didn't watch again until the Rumble. I didn't watch Raws. I didn't watch SmackDown. I didn't watch any other.
You didn't miss nothing.
Pay-per-views, right? But we sat down and watched the Rumble and my husband watched it with me. And we looked at each other 2 matches in and I was like, I ain't missed a thing.
Nope.
I have not missed a thing. And I have since turned it back off and haven't watched it. Haven't watched the Raw, haven't watched the SmackDown, haven't watched the pay-per-view. And judging by what you have said in my social media feed every Monday and Friday, I'm not missing anything.
No. It is an absolute disaster. They are not putting any work in at all. And we keep going back to the well of the same people holding the titles, and yet you keep bringing people up and you don't know how to use these people. It's why I love the fact that we have AEW, because at least I can watch something that makes sense. This does not make sense at all.
But here's the problem, right? Is I haven't watched, but I'm going to turn WrestleMania on because I can't help myself.
Exactly.
I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be pissed.
We both are going to be pissed.
I am going to sit there and I am going to turn into the race fan that rage tweets and complains about everything every Sunday.
Yes.
And I'm going to know exactly how they feel because that's going to be me for WrestleMania.
Exactly. You got that right. I already know who's going to win unless they throw me a curveball. I pretty much know every match and who's going to win in that match. I'm very disappointed.
But you know what? It's not even so much about what the outcome is. It's the story along the way.
Trash.
And as you just said, the story is just not good.
No. And we've been going this is week 5, and we got people running out here, running their mouth every week. I look, man, just hide them until Mania. Like, we don't need to, you're throwing out garbage matches anyway. Just leave them out of it, because the beginning of the show is the best part of the show, and it all goes downhill after that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the unfortunate part, right? Is like, it's not a criticism of the talent, because it's incredible talent, incredible personalities. It's just the story. It's the storytelling. And as someone who loves being a storyteller myself, I mean, I don't know if that's why I look at it maybe a little bit differently than other people, but clearly not, because 90% of social media that I see agrees with me. So.
Yes, exactly. Let everybody know where they can follow your work at. I know you're on, Sirius Satellite Radio. It's really cool. the stuff that you do. Let everybody know where they can find your stuff at.
Yeah, occasionally you can catch me on Channel 90, the NASCAR channel. I've got my podcast, the Racing Writers Podcast, where it's both NASCAR and NHRA. So you can find me there, freelance for ESPN. So every so often you can find me there. But the primary job is racer.com. So everything basically day to day you will find over there. And then my handle on basically every social media platform is just my name. I got very lucky. So just at Kelly Crandall and you can find me. But yeah, I've got I've got a lot going on. I don't realize that sometimes until people ask me and I'm like, oh yeah, I really do got a long list of stuff.
Yeah, you're everywhere. And yeah, keep doing your thing. I really enjoy it. I love your perspective when it comes to NASCAR. And I love the fact that at the end of the day, you're not afraid to ask the tough questions, because there's a lot of folks out here tossing up little duds, but you do not toss up duds. You will hit them right between the eyes. And I love it.
Oh, I try, right?
Yeah.
That's the job.
Kelly, thank you so much. And we'll do this again.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you for asking.
Kelly Crandall, everybody. That was fun. We'll take a quick break and then we'll kind of go over some stuff, and we'll talk about some things. We got this guy here in the comments, and he's got some things coming up, man. I'm really excited for him. He's got some announcements that are going to be made, and I can't wait. I know, but I can't wait for you guys to know. So we'll go and take a break. We'll do some stuff with your questions and what you guys think coming up this weekend, and we'll close it out. Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall, we return in Indy, and they're going to have a different format. You can catch a little bit about what Buddy said on the Power Hour. He was on here today, and he said they're going to change the format a little bit. You know, he kind of running out of funny car drivers, but the list of guests, he said, you guys will not be disappointed. It's really, really good. So I'm looking forward to that coming up and starting in Indy. You can also catch Buddy on Kelly Crandall's podcast. He was on there this week as well. So let me get back here into our comments. Like I said, Rendell Racing has a lot coming up, and I'm really looking forward to what he's got coming up. And like I said, you guys are going to be extremely happy with what he's going to drop. And it's just a thing of, man, when people work hard and put themselves forward to set out to do something and you see the success, I can attest to that. You look at Dave W. and the hard work that he's put in, just providing like history and, you know, stuff for you guys to indulge in, and look at what he's doing now, working with the television side of the NHRA and being their statistician is fantastic. And you're going to really be excited about what Rendell Racing has in store here in May. It's going to be extremely, extremely fun. And you will be excited. Like we talked about Pomona, looks like in Pomona we have some pretty full fields here. I think we're short in top fuel. I think there's 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 15 like it was in Phoenix. And I think Funny Car is full. You'll have some new names. You've got Dylan, who was there in Phoenix, but you got Jason Rupert who's going to be there. And that's all the new names. But I think the Funny Car field is full. Pro Stock is obviously full. Top Alcohol Dragster is full. I don't think Top Alcohol Funny Car, I think they got 10 or 11 cars there. And as we talked about, this is a home race for Melanie Johnson. She'll be debuting the whole new Diggs suit, car, and hopefully all that newness, along with, Rich McPhillips getting a win in IHRA that they can come out and get another win. So it'll be cool if that happens. It really will be. I saw your answer, Blake. Yes, you can promote whatever you want. It's always greatly appreciated when folks do that. Definitely. Let's see here. Yeah, man. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, it reminds me of the stuff that I've done to get to where I am, and it's nice to see. You look at all of us. The extra leap that Lee Kraft is doing, Monday Morning Racer. You look at Darren Williams and what he's doing with John Force Racing. It's amazing to watch the growth of us, and yeah, yeah, deserves to be talked about because there's somebody out there looking, wondering what they can do and what's going to happen and how can I get here. And we're living, breathing examples of what perseverance and hard work can do. Yeah, you could say that, man. You could say that. I'd put him up there with Bob Fry too, though. Definitely. Man, it is going to be an interesting deal. I'm hoping. Let's check the forecast here, and I'll see if I can pull that up right here. Talking about forecast, have you guys? I'm just a weather nerd, but have you guys gone to the Weather Channel and gone to the Weather Channel's page on the internet and clicked their retro? Up in the right hand corner, it'll say retro. I don't know if it's still there now because I'm on it right now. Um, you can transform it back to the old retro Weather Channel deal, and it'll give you the old school look. It's pretty neat because I remember that when I was living that had its own cable, and we had the old school one while everybody else had all the new school stuff. We had all the old school stuff, so it's kind of fun. Let's see what the weather is. You're not supposed to have radio silence, but so what? Um, let's see. While that's loading, really interested to see what they can do out there. Like I said, we've got so much momentum coming into this race. It would be a shame. It looks like Saturday is still like a 77% chance of rain, Sunday is a 67% chance of showers. Friday looks like the best day. So um, it looks like it's for Saturday, both day and night are above 70%. And it looks like Sunday is it's afternoon or night is 40%. It's 70% during the day. So we've got a couple more days to kind of see if the weather can iron itself out. And yes, the retro cast now button is still up there. So you should try it out if you're a weather nerd like myself. So I'm just nerding out there. I'm looking forward to IHRA as well. They have, I know, NC Promoter earlier today was doing a little bit of testing. He was saying that they didn't have full fields in Top Fuel. He really didn't know. That thing is, they do have full fields in Top Fuel and Funny Car. Um, yeah, they have. I think it was like 13. Dave knows, but there is full fields. There are bump spots. It's not just 8 cars. There are bump spots. There are DNQs that are going to happen. About Motor Pro Stock, same thing. So I'm looking forward to it. I will not be able to catch this stuff live. I will be at Shady Side Dragway catching and doing my, camera operator work there for the series. We will be at Shady Side Dragway for the season opener of Southeast Gassers Association. So it should be fun. A lot of new cars that have been rebuilt after accidents and at the season's end. There are some people that are returning, and there are some new people that will be in cars in different classes. So I'm super excited to see how it all translates and how we get this season started. Will the champs get off to a fast start? I'm looking to see if the Iron Eagle can, come out and really start the season off with a win. He really had a lot of momentum until the crash. And, I'm hoping he races a full season this season because I do think if he had stuck without the accident, because that took time away, but it made for a cool piece at the SEMA show for him. Yeah, you can make this full time. It's work though, and I work 2 full-time jobs. I've been doing this since 2013, so it's nothing new for me. Yeah, in time, sir, in time, but they need to be vetted. You don't need any headaches. Yes, full fields and top fuel, funny car, Mountain Motor Pro Stock, and Nitro Harley. Yeah, that's a big list of Nitro Harleys. He says 13 funny cars for 8 spots, and Phil Burkhart in the Follow a Dream Team Nitro debut. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. You mentioned something in our text about Phil and Del Worsham possibly meeting in that CSK team deal, kind of a reuniting there. That would be pretty cool if they matched up. That would be really cool. Yeah, it will be. I'm looking forward to it. It's been long overdue. Season has been long. Joe Morrison coming into play. You got John Capps as well on that list. So got some heavy hitters, man. It's going to be fun. Probably I don't really do a lot of the booking over there, but I'll throw it up and see what they decide. Or that might be a guest for the Alan Reinhardt show too. So, but I'll throw it in there. Well, with so much drag racing, I don't know how you guys are going to keep up. I'm fortunate enough that I have work to do, so it's going to be disappointing to miss eliminations for IHRA, and I'm going to miss. I will probably catch some qualifying, but not a lot. It's going to be a packed day, Friday afternoon, Saturday, but should be able to watch eliminations for if we have them there. I should be able to watch that, but I'll have to go back and watch some of this stuff. And I do really. It's kind of, I treat it the same way I treat football. I rewatch things sometimes just to catch different things. What caused what? You know what I mean? Things like that. It's easier with NHRA TV, but yeah, that IHRA makes it pretty easy too. So I will be watching those back as well. So plenty of racing to go around. The weather's going to be good for most of it. Funny Car Chaos, Sega, IHRA. We're just hoping that we can get a break and that this forecast can change up a little bit and get an opening for this Pomona Winternationals race, or we're going to have to start rethinking life here with the Winternationals. This will be the second straight time if there's an issue, and last year was terrible. They were pretty much, driving around boats in the parking lot. So, yeah, I'm hoping that that's not the case this year. I don't know if you guys caught the NCAA tournament. The men, Michigan won. I put out a little bit of a reel on that, giving my thoughts on who I thought might win that one. Definitely was close early. It stayed close for most of the game. And, like I said, Michigan was going to pull away a little bit and make it a kind of comfortable win for them. Both teams are worthy. Both teams were good. Both the Final Four, all 4 teams were evenly matched. It was a little bit different story. Arizona, the UConn game with Illinois, they just kind of they got them in the second half and just pulled away. And I believe it was the same for Michigan. So great final. March Madness is over. We look to the draft now for the NFL. Um, it's going to be very interesting. I think we know who's going number one. Mendoza will go number one to the Raiders. And like I said in a post, real earlier this week, I believe it was this week, early into last week. This is great for Mendoza to have Kirk Cousins. You only hope that Kirk is Minnesota Vikings Kirk, where he can kind of be out on the field and be able to orchestrate this offense and do what we known Kirk to be able to do, and give this young man a little bit of time, because I don't believe that the Raiders have an offensive line that is going to be conducive for him to have success early. But I say that, and that was some of the same issues that plagued Kirk last season or in the season before that with the Atlanta Falcons. But I also think that the Atlanta Falcons, I don't know. It's just kind of one of those revolving doors that everybody's like, come on, Atlanta, and they have the pieces and it just never comes together. So we'll see how it works out. At least he knows his role now, and it appears he knows his role, or otherwise he wouldn't have gone there. I know there was a contentious point for him in Atlanta of them drafting Michael Penix, and he felt like the rug was pulled out from underneath of him, or he was not, that wasn't what he signed up for. I don't blame the team. I don't blame him either. So it'll be interesting how from 2 on, what happens in the draft there in the first round. I could care less about the other rounds, to be honest with you. There are going to be some great players all around that get picked up. Bristol for NASCAR, that should be fun. Looking forward to that. Yep. It sure is. It sure is. It definitely isn't bad. Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. A lot of racing that will be happening here, and I don't know if you guys have been watching the UFL. It has started. Believe they have a game tonight. I believe at 8. Is it Tuesday? Yes, they have a game tonight. It may have already started. They're in their second week of the regular season. It's good football. It's football the way it should be, because defenses are actually allowed to play, and it's not rules that are skewed that allow offensive players to have the upper hand. So you may not like the scoring because it may not be a 30-30 or 42-35 ball game, but it is the grassroots of football and what it really is meant to be. Rules being even for both and allowing these guys on both ends, the offense and defense, to play. And I believe it's going to be, as this continues for the spring football, it is only good for the NFL, because I think you guys have heard me say this before. The NFL is deficient in 2 areas, and they both are in the trenches, defensively and offensively, at the defensive and offensive line positions. You have your great players. There are some players that don't get drafted, or maybe they are undrafted free agents that you bring in and they don't necessarily make the team. Well, that's an opportunity for them to go and refine their skills. I mean, you see people over there that have had NFL experience last year on a team, and they're playing to refine their skills. And a lot of people get picked up, during training camp and before, after this season is over with. So it's only going to be great. And, I don't know if most of you remember that the NFL had a Europe League. There's some of you that may, but there was a Europe League, and the league was solid, especially in the trenches, because you had those games where these individuals who needed a little bit more refinement were able to play and get that opportunity to continue to refine their skills, to round out the depth in the trenches. And that's where the NFL kind of suffers. A lot of teams are your first guy, you know, goes down, you might be okay. You might have a guy or two that you can shuffle around, and it's just the Swiss Army knife. Can play guard, can play tackle, can get in and play center. But once you get past those two guys, if you lose 3 or 4 guys along the offensive line, it might get a little ugly because those guys may not be 100% ready for facing a team's number ones on the defensive side of the football. So I'm liking what the UFL brings. It refines also backup quarterbacks, which is another deficiency with the NFL. You got to have in this league a good, solid backup because injuries are part of the game, and they're more likely to happen than not likely to happen. You know what I mean? So when for a while there, and there's still only a handful of teams that have a backup that can come in and get you 5 wins if you got a dinged up quarterback, or maybe able to carry the team if your quarterback is out for the season. At least make it respectable, right? But it is very difficult in this league to have a solid backup that can go out and win you games. And that league enables those guys who will be more oftentimes than not a backup within the NFL to have their skills refined and be able to be a guy that steps in and gives a team a chance to win and buys them time as their starter may be a little nicked up and can get them wins. So that in itself is extremely important. And you asked that question. Great. I just saw that. It is still a thing. It is on. They've been having games on NFL Network. Fox has had a few. I believe I want to say FS1, but I know ESPN and the NFL Network has kind of got involved now with these games because it used to be kind of just Fox doing it and their affiliates, but NFL Network has kind of stepped in, which is a good thing for this league to kind of help promote it a little bit better. And these guys can get seen a little bit more, right? Being on NFL Network and on ESPN, coaches are watching. They're trying to fill out their rosters. It's more than just the starters. Like, you need good depth on a football team to have any type of success in this league. So, it is a good league. You may not like the scoring, but it really is a good league, and really excited about it. Again, before we get out of here, make sure that you guys fill out your Pro Stock bracket. It will close April 10th, so get your picks in and be ready. Hopefully, we have some picking to do here for the Pomona thing in May here. Our next one will be in May when we do the Pro Stock bracket. That should be interesting. I'm interested to see what we have and the picks that we have there, within the Pro Stock ranks.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I thank you so much for taking the time to watch the show. Those of you who listen back, thank you so much for your support. It is greatly appreciated. Without you, this is nothing. You guys make this what it is, and I appreciate it. Look, I'll see you guys next Tuesday. We'll have a lot to talk about, right? All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Crowd breathing like smoke, NFL grit in my voice when the pressure gets woke. Engine scream through the night. That F1 razor lines cut clean, turn sharp like a hometown savior. NASCAR drift in my blood when the pace get wild. I talk speed like a veteran, move calm like a smile. Legends born out of sweat, out of heartbreaks echo. I break plays down smooth, call the game like a maestro. Every lane that we touch, every story we show. This is where the truth runs. The NotBland Show. Fast lanes, fast breaks, whole crowd froze. Big drives, deep shots, watch a moment explode. Every angle hit heavy with a champion's glow. Step into the kingdom, the NotBland Show. Fast lanes, fast breaks, whole crowd froze. Big drives, deep shots, watch the moment explode. Every angle hit heavy with a champion's glow. Step into the kingdom, the NotBland Show.